This is graduation ceremony, and one of the graduates is delivering his graduation speech. His name is Tim Berger, and he is known to most of the graduates as a weird chemical student who almost blew up the entire building, set his classmates on fire, and did comprehensive research on mozzarella cheese qualities. He congratulates everybody on this special day when they graduate from the university and set off into the unknown future. But Tim isn't afraid of his future anymore, and it is not unknown for him because just as he was going to this ceremony with his parents, his little brother and little sister, he was approached by someone who offered him a summer internship, and he was very glad to this opportunity because he will have a chance to get hands-on experience before starting PhD in the fall. Getting PhD is the next step in his career to become a real scientist. And if he succeeds in his career, it will be thankful to the university, his professors, and people who he has met over the past few years. Yesterday, Tim was offered by the administration to deliver a graduation speech. He was very surprised because he hasn't been good at public speaking. He hasn't been a straight A student either. And he missed a lot of classes, especially during his freshman years. But he had a lot of social events on campus and a lot of parties to go to. As a result, he slacked off in his course and he fell behind, and he struggled to catch up with his studies. But he had to stop his partying and to take some additional private lessons, and they eventually helped him to keep up with his coursework. But last year he was on the edge of being expelled from the university because he made some mistakes in his calculations, and his lab experiment didn't go well. The explosion left a huge hole in the wall, and it made him lose his eyebrows, but luckily they grew back. And of course, he was told off by the department supervisor, and he was strictly and severely criticized in the newspaper for putting other students' lives in danger. He has never heard their chemical professor yell at a student so fiercely, and he had to take additional course on safety principles in a lab environment. Of course, he lost his interest in chemical experiments, but just for a while, not for too long. He hasn't been a learner. He has much of a practical guy. and he likes to experiment, to see how the elements interact with one another, how the stuff works, and what would happen if sodium will be added to acid, and things like that. And the last experiment almost got him kicked out of the university. But anyway, such experiences were his favorites. Taking exams and tests wasn't his enjoyable part in the learning process, but however, somehow he managed to pass all of his exams without not too much efforts. He always didn't have enough time to prepare for his exams, and while his classmates buried themselves in books, he worked part-time as a lab technician, and he also signed up for a theater group and spent numerous hours on rehearsals. He remembers the day when he had the exam scheduled for the next day, and he had to rehearse for a play. And the rehearsal lasted into the night, and he only slept for a couple hours. Everything mixed up in his head, and he started to recite a Shakespeare sonnet in response to the professor's question on oxygen properties. Luckily, the professor turned out to be a theater enthusiast, and Tim managed to pass his exam. He cannot still believe that he didn't fail a single exam, and he cannot help thinking that a few professors gave him higher grades than he deserved. Given all that, to the dean, he asked why he was chosen to deliver a speech, and the dean said that it was his spirit of discovery and determination that speak about the university's interests. And Tim was told only yesterday. That's why he didn't have enough time for preparation, and he had to improvise as usual. But anyway, he is very grateful for this opportunity. And the university made him feel welcomed. His teenage years were different from nowadays, and he attended some different elementary, middle, and high schools because his parents moved a lot from state to state, and he didn't feel at home anywhere. That's why belonging to a close community is so touching for him now. He started a school when he was a shy and social awkward child, and he was short, he wore glasses, and he was often bullied. And moreover, he was good at math and science, and he did well in class, and he got above average grades. So he was automatically considered a nerd. That's why he couldn't wait to move on to the next stage in his education and to get enrolled in the university. He finished his school with honors, but without any regrets. He didn't go even to his prom because he didn't have a date. When he got a place at the university, he was very excited because his parents didn't have opportunity to pay tuition fees, and he applied for a scholarship. He got a grant from the government fund supporting talented applicants. At first, he was enrolled at the physics department, but then he realized that chemistry was his real passion. So he dropped out of physics and dropped on in chemistry class. And looking back, he is sure that dropping physics class was his best decision and choice he ever made. Now, when he has defended his thesis and he has got his master's degree, he is extremely proud to be one of the graduates today, and he wishes everybody to stick to their goals, to not be afraid to experiment, to work hard, and to make their own choices forever.